Well, tonight's review is going to be an interesting one. We've just got a hand on Dell's 2022 version of the G15 series. This year, these 12th generation gaming laptops have been incredibly expensive, making it very difficult for price-conscious gamers to afford a gaming laptop. This special edition of the Dell G15 gaming laptop comes with Intel's new 12th generation 12700H processor, an RTX 3060 and DDR5 RAM. And you'll be forgiven for thinking this could actually be an Alienware M15R7, because they do look very similar and have the same aesthetic feel to them, and they actually share a lot of the same parts. But Dell have managed to cut out a few of the premium features from the Alienware M15R7 to create a cost-conscious, powerful gaming laptop. Now, when you're buying a G15 laptop, you do have to be careful because there are a lot of different versions available. This here is the Special Edition, as I mentioned earlier, in Obsidian Black, and this gives you access to a lot of the higher-end parts available on the G15. And one of the best features about this Special Edition is the fact that it gives you access to the 240Hz 1440p panel. This is the same panel that we absolutely loved in the X15R2, and it's a 400 nit 1440p G-Sync Advanced Optimus panel that is incredibly responsive and color accurate, making it an absolute perfect laptop screen in my opinion, and one of the best laptop panels available this year. Now, to see this added to the G15 range makes me feel that Dell is finally taking the mid-range gaming laptop seriously. We loved the Dell G15 last year. We had the Ryzen version. It was an incredible laptop and it performed brilliantly. But in the UK, we only got access to the 120Hz 1080p panel. The panel was okay and the 120Hz was quite responsive, but it suffered from severe PWM's flickering, which I personally cannot stand in a laptop screen. And unfortunately, the only other option to upgrade it to was the 165Hz 1080p panel, and that panel is okay. But my recommendation is, if you're buying one of these G15s, spend the extra money and get this 1440p panel. It is absolutely incredible, and it is the highlight of this laptop. Now, as I mentioned, this is a cost-conscious laptop. There certainly is no frills. This is all about the power under the hood, and you can see what they've done to save some money. This is an all-plastic chassis, but even though it's plastic, it still feels nice and solid. There isn't a lot of flex or creak. So it does feel reasonably premium. It's certainly not like a cheap sort of £300 sort of, Walmart laptop. It's got a reasonable heft to it, weighing about 2.8 kilograms. And another area that they've sort of, in my opinion, sort of saved a bit of money is there's no indent or any easy way to sort of grab hold of the lid to lift it open, which makes prying open this laptop a little bit challenging. Now, once inside though, you have the usual plastic palm rest and the G series keyboard. Now, this keyboard is pretty good. It's a great layout. We actually get a number pad, which you don't get on the Alienwares. And the keyboard does feel pretty nice to type on. But the key response and travel is much nicer on the Alienware keyboard. So this is an area where they've saved a little bit of money. But for a budget gaming laptop, you'd be more than happy using this keyboard. It's also backlit. Now, I've just chosen the white backlit model, but there is also a multi-zone RGB backlit if you prefer that sort of RGB sort of feel. And the lighting is controlled in Alienware Command Center, just like if you're buying an Alienware laptop. The trackpad is reasonably small and it's plastic. Got a bit of a cheap feel to it, especially if you're used to a glass trackpad. But the gestures and the tracking do work very well. It just doesn't feel as premium as if you say you're using an Alienware. The speakers are about on par with a gaming laptop. They sound like this. Speaker test of the Dell G15 Special Edition. This is at 80% volume. So there we go. They do get pretty loud. They're not the best speakers in the world. I'd say they're pretty much on par with the M15R7. And the laptop's got a webcam and a mic above the actual screen, and they look and sound like this. And this is a test of the webcam and the microphones on the Dell G15 Special Edition for 2022. And another area where Dell have cut a few sort of corners to save some money is there's no Windows Hello features on this laptop no matter what you upgrade. There's no fingerprint reader and there's no Windows Hello included with the webcam. So unfortunately, you will be just logging in with a password, but considering the price of this machine, you can kind of understand that. Now, the ports for this location are well laid out. On the left side, we've got an Ethernet port, we've got a headset jack, and we've got a charging sort of status light, which is quite handy. On the right-hand side of the laptop, we've got two USB Type A ports, and on the rear of the laptop, we've got a power jack, an HDMI port, another USB-A, and a Thunderbolt port. But if you buy this laptop with a 3050 Ti, you only get a USB-C instead of the Thunderbolt. And unfortunately, this Thunderbolt port or USB-C port has no power delivery, so it is only actual data out from this device. And at the front of the laptop, we've got an RGB multi-zone light. As you can see, I've got this set up to flash in a rainbow wave at the moment. You can also have it as a solid color, or you can even turn it off if you don't like it. But it gives you a nice light strip across the front of this laptop. Now, getting inside the laptop to upgrade any of these internals is relatively easy. We've got 8 Phillips screws, 2 of which are captive. And when you unscrew all these screws, the 2 captives actually pop the actual base plate away from the laptop, making it very easy to pry off the base of the laptop itself. This gives you access to the 86 watt-hour battery, 2 removable DDR5 RAM slots, a removable Wi-Fi card, and a single M.2 SSD. Now, sadly, this is another area where Dell have decided to cut a few corners, because there's actually space here, and you can see even the mounting bracket for 2 M.2 slots, but Dell have not included the connector for the second slot, so there's no way you can attach a second drive in this laptop, unlike the M15R7. And also, to save a few pounds, Dell have used an M.2 30mm Gen 3 SSD. So the speed in this SSD isn't the fastest, but it's very easy to remove it, and you can change the bracket slot to either a 30mm or an 80mm and put in the drive of your choice. Now, performance-wise, I'm incredibly impressed with this laptop. I really expected the thermal system of this laptop not to be able to cope with the 12700H that Dell have put in here. But this benchmarks very similar to the M15R7, giving us incredible CPU scores in Cinebench and Geekbench on this laptop. And the benchmark scores for the price of this laptop is truly incredible and a big step up from laptops of last year. This is the first time I can say this because all the other laptops we've tested with these 12th generation CPUs have been incredibly expensive. This one in the UK was only £1,200, and to get like next generation level CPU performance on these laptops is mind-blowing at this price. And with regards to the RTX 3060 in this laptop, Dell have actually given us the 130 watt maximum value for this 3060, meaning that the performance is absolutely fantastic as far as 3060s go. And this laptop keeps pace with our much more expensive Alienware X15R2 with a 3060. And running through our gaming benchmarks, this laptop performs exactly where you'd expect it for this 12700H and the 3060. And whilst gaming, there's absolutely no throttling at all. It performs absolutely amazingly. And the fan noise, if left to balance, is only 40 decibels. It's very comfortable to listen to. There's no whining fans. And if you use the gamer key, which is actually just F9, if you haven't actually paid for the gamer key upgrade, it's still exactly the same. That actually boosts the actual fan to give you 52 decibels of noise, but allows for a slightly cooler laptop and slightly better performance from the actual components inside. With regards to actual heat on the actual palm rest and the keyboard, absolutely amazing in my use so far in the gaming. The palm rest and the WSD key are cool to the touch. And as you come across to the middle of the keyboard, it does warm up slightly, but not to an uncomfortable level. And the only hot area on the top section of this laptop is right at the very top, just underneath the monitor, where it's exhausting that hot air. And even then, it's not that bad, and actually slightly less than the Alienwares we've reviewed, making this an absolutely great gaming experience, which when coupled with this amazing 1440p 240Hz panel, gives incredible gaming performance. Now, although the RTX 3060 is a great 1080p card, running at this native 1440p could be a little bit difficult at some of the more demanding AAA titles. But the great news is, when you actually run this scaled to 1080p, it still looks absolutely amazing. So you don't need to worry about you running this off mesh because you hardly even notice the difference. And with regards to the battery life, it's been really good on this model, and in fact slightly better than the Alienwares we've been testing. Doing our usual video streaming test over Wi-Fi at 200 nits of brightness and 50% speaker volume, I got just under 6 hours of battery life on this 86 watt-hour battery. Really quite impressive for a gaming laptop, especially after all the other 12th gen laptops have been quite disappointing. And when it comes to actually charging the laptop, unfortunately, as I said, there's no power delivery through the Thunderbolt, so you will have to rely on the Dell Power Pack. And unfortunately, we're still using the old 240 watt power pack we've been using for years. This is quite large, but it is reasonably slim, so it fits in your bag nicely, and it is reasonably weighty. So you do have to take this into consideration. But overall, this is still quite a portable system to take around with you and use on the go. So that leads me to my conclusion. As I mentioned earlier, this is a no-frills, cost-conscious, budget gaming laptop. This is the first time we've got our hands on a reasonably priced 12th generation laptop. So when I got this in, I was expecting this to run hot, to throttle, and not perform that well. So to have this perform as well as the M15R7 with a 3060 has been incredibly impressive, especially that this cost just £1,200 in the UK, making it by far the cheapest 12th generation gaming laptop I've actually seen at the moment. And the fact that they've actually allowed us to get this beautiful 1440p, 400 nit, 240Hz G-Sync and Advanced Optimus panel in this machine makes this an absolute win in my book. Now, it doesn't look as nice as the Alienwares, the keyboard's not quite as great, but other than that, this is an absolutely fantastic gaming laptop. And if you're not bothered about the looks, or you don't need to have an Alienware or a Razer, this will give you the gaming performance of any other 12th generation with a 3060 in a much, much cheaper package. And overall, I have been incredibly impressed with it. The fans aren't too loud, it's got reasonable battery life, it's just a brilliant overall machine. And I think for £1,200, you'll be hard pressed to find something better, at least in the UK at the moment. So this definitely gets my thumbs up, and I would certainly be looking at buying this myself if I was looking for a sort of budget gaming laptop. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this model. Please pop them in the comment section down below, and I will read them and get back to you. And lastly, thanks for watching.